Hi, I'm Marketing Sherpa reporter Courtney Eckerly, and I'm sitting here in the Media Center with Jeff Kaleba and Kate Ellis of Kentucky Derby. Welcome, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So, just to start off, what are some of the struggles of keeping your customers consistently engaged for a once-a-year event like the Kentucky Derby?
Well, it's clearly a challenge because there's that immediate peak of relevance at one time of the year. So finding and creating a content plan that gives our guests a reason to care and how we're going to pace that out throughout the years is one of the biggest challenges. Some of the questions that we found are interesting is how do horses get into the Kentucky Derby? And that's led us to a whole additional set of content that follows that journey for horses. But planning that out and accepting the fact that that relevance is going to grow as we get closer and planning into it is one of the challenges that we have to manage.
And I think one of the things that's been really helpful for us is learning why someone engages with the brand so that we can start extending that out. So the Road to the Kentucky Derby is a great example. They're interested in the horses. How did the horses get there? Well, we can talk to you about this whole lead up. And if you're just interested in attending, we can talk to you about planning your trip. That's going to take a while. You want to start planning it months in advance and start booking plane tickets and shopping for your clothes. So it's figuring out what they're interested in and then figuring out what kind of content they'll want to know leading up to it as well.
So starting this out, you guys had some assumptions about your customers, and then you went through that journey of figuring out exactly who they were. Why is it so vitally important for marketers to consistently test their assumptions, specifically about their customers?
For me, it's that I'm not my customer, and I often like to think that I am, and that I know everything about what they want to hear because I can relate to them a little bit. And so, I very often find myself thinking, well, this is what I would want to hear. And so it's a constant challenge to remember that they don't necessarily want to hear the same thing as me. And also, as a marketer of a product, we're so engaged with our own product that a lot of times it gives us blinders to, what else is going on or what other kinds of things our customers might want to know or see about us.
I think it's often more dangerous when you are engaged in your own product and when you do consume it in any respect, because then you start to make that self-confirmation bias of, well, this is how I think about it and this is what I enjoy. And it's harder for you to not only imagine another consumer group, but first step out of your own set of beliefs and the consumers that you do relate to start thinking about a different person's reactions.
So kind of along that vein, why is relevancy becoming such an important part of email marketing?
I think it's just because we are hit with so many messages today. I looked at my inbox just this morning and I hadn't had a chance to check it, and I had over 60 new emails in just my Gmail inbox, and I immediately looked at that and went, I'm going to read one of those. Read it, clicked everything else, and deleted it. And so it's just, we have a lack of time. We're getting hit all the time by messages from not only an email, but everywhere around us. So it's just a challenge. You have to find that reason that somebody's going to want to interact with you.
Time is a new currency that we're dealing with. I mean, it's always been there, but the world has changed in terms of how many demands there are on our time. And whereas traditional marketing is always thinking sort of about the economic choice that people make about their money and whether they spend it here or whether they spend it there or not at all, and substitutes and alternatives, now we have to deal with the same thing with people's time. And that's why relevancy is what drives your choice to invest your time on our email, on our content, at our event, as opposed to another email, or just not at all because you've got something more interesting to be doing with your time.
And you have to integrate sponsored content into your sends. So what are some of the challenges of that?
Sponsored content, when you're dealing with a business for which sponsorship and partnerships are an important revenue stream, you have the challenge of having to share your content with a partner, and your messaging is not 100% your own, but there's a lot you can do to own that integration and to manage it through the lens of your consumer and your expertise to make sure that you're delivering the most interesting content for your consumer and at the same time real relevant engagement and relevant value to your sponsor, to your customer. So there's a tricky balance marketers need to do to manage messaging that's coming from two purposes, literally from two different marketers' minds, but blend them in a way that comes across relevant to your consumer. And that really, the key to that is a partnership between marketing and sales, sponsorship sales, to make relevant partnerships. And that's something we've been able to do very well and on a very custom basis with the Kentucky Derby. Because when you have a partner that fits with your brand, that's a lot easier to do than when you're kind of just arbitrarily selling. So that's what we strive to do with all of our content.
And from a more general perspective, what do you think a marketer's most timeless and most valuable asset is?
The ability to learn from their customer. I think it's just constantly challenging yourself to think, what is my customer thinking? What do they want to hear about? Why would they want to hear about it? So that you're constantly challenging yourself to say, is this relevant and important to my customer?
And I'd add that your relationship with your consumers is critical. The Kentucky Derby is what it is because of 140 years of consumers believing in the event and enjoying it and wanting to be a part of it and caring about it. And it's critical that we care back and that we maintain that relationship and that we invest in that relationship and maintain that trust. Because without that, the brand doesn't have meaning.